All right, we're back with the PanCapitalist. Tim, we got a beer.
We got beer. Okay, so listen, this beer I saw in the store, and I had no choice but to buy it because everything about it screamed Anand.
Okay.
You can lift. I gave you the red cup because you're a Republican.
Oh, God. The only liberal. Wow. Kobe.
Oh, yeah.
Legendario. I didn't even care what this tastes like. I'm going to like it. So it's an IPA.
Yeah, well, one side is Spanish, the other side is English. Mamba Mentality beer. Double hazy IPA. Yeah. So this is from Attitude Brewing Company, which is in San Diego as well. I think the last one was from San Diego as well. But yeah, this is 8.6%.
So we're going to get a little buzzed?
Strong like Kobe.
Yeah. Strong like Kobe. Mamba Mentality like Kobe.
Yeah.
So let's get into this.
Let's try this one.
Okay. You going straight can? Not.
I'm just drinking out of the can.
Okay. I'll do the same.
Wow. That's really tasty.
You know, it's not just Kobe. I actually enjoy this beer.
Yeah. It's kind of candy-ish.
Yeah. How'd you find this beer?
I go to Washington Discount Liquors.
Okay.
And they have the widest selection of craft beers that I've found in Los Angeles. Actually, if anyone listening has a good suggestion for places that sell craft beer, please DM me because I'm always on the hunt.
So you said Washington
Discount Liquors.
Where's that?
It's on Washington, and it's sort of like near La Cienega.
So close to the 10.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's just the best. They have beers ranging from $6 each to $50 each, you know.
Got it.
But this one I saw, and there was no amount of money that could stop me from buying this beer.
Yeah,
for
I
you.
appreciate that. It's very thoughtful, Tim.
Yeah, well, that's what I do here.
So I want to actually a really good point that AJ, one of my best friends, brought up, that the beer and the opening of the beer is so symbolic of two people with very differing views of the world opening a drink, a cocktail, coming to the table is how he described it, and actually having a conversation. And I thought that was a very insightful comment from him. We think we have differing views, but maybe we don't. We just have different kind of backgrounds.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, you know, that's kind of where I want to start. So the last episode, it was a lot about my background, and even Amanda was just like, I already know your story. Like, this is boring. She's like, I think we do.
My only goal is to entertain Amanda. So
she's like, we need to do a little more Tim.
Is that if that's what she wants?
Yeah.
Who am I to say no?
So where I want to start is because I've actually told this comment to a countless number of my closest friends, and everyone is just baffled. And it was a comment from our lunch, probably now a month ago now, right?
Yeah.
The lunch that, you know, changed the world.
Yeah, lunch heard around the world.
Yeah. And the comment you made to me that I relayed to my friends was, Tim, you and your friends wake up every morning, like, what's going to make me happy? And you make decisions based on the day under that premise. And I've never done that in my life. Maybe I should. I talked to a lot of my friends because I want to be like, am I crazy? Am I the only one that doesn't think like this? Or do you guys think like this? And unanimously, complete utter shock. And they were like, I've never even entertained that idea. And I've had friends that have actually subsequently tried to start their day.
Wow.
Thinking like that.
It really is the lunch heard around the world.
Yeah. They're like,
look at me, turning capitalists into people who live for the day.
Yeah. And they're like, you know, I want to really like lean into that.
Yeah.
I think it's a thing. So I'm 37. Most of my friends are in a very similar age, plus or minus 3 to 4 years. Mm-hmm. But, you know, definitely in the mid to late 30s, if not early 40s.
And in the finance,
entrepreneur
end of things.
Professionals that have basically spent their entire 20s, 30s, you know, almost universally of my friends, everyone's doing pretty well. So they've all done well professionally.
Yeah.
And no one has thought like that.
Wow.
So that's where I want to start and talk to you about how you kind of start the day, how you perceive life, how you and your friends perceive life, and your background. Because we spent, I think, enough time on me, so I want to focus on you.
Okay. Well, I maybe I was a bit hasty by saying that's the way all my friends think.
Mm-hmm.
But as an artist, and most of my friends being artists, it's definitely, a career choice to say, I want to do the thing I'm passionate about instead of the thing that is, the most lucrative. Because there's so much value, I think, in feeling fulfilled and feeling like the work you're doing is not, you're not working for the weekend. You're not waiting for the day to end. You want to feel like the things you're doing are fulfilling your purpose, whatever your purpose is. And I've been thinking about that too, because honestly, it surprised me that was surprising to you.
Right.
Like, I've been around so many people who are like-minded, that it's weird for me to think of beginning a day and saying, this is just another one,
Right.
But yeah, I think a lot of my friends, and maybe a lot of people from my generation, have been troubled with existential crises their entire lives. And maybe that's part of the artist complex, or maybe that's part of, social media's effect on our upbringing. I don't know what it is.
So I kind of want to understand a little more. So I would say of my peer group, for the most part, it's fairly structured. Like, you do XYZ, you get to the next point. Then once you get to that point, whether you're an entrepreneur and you're raising money, it's like, okay, I raised my Series A, then I need to raise my Series B. After my Series C, I either need to sell or go public. Or it's, I'm an early finance person, and here's the pathway to get to a private equity firm or a hedge fund. And is that the difference between kind of my peer group and your peer group? We kind of are just on this hamster wheel of like, we think about our careers as like just getting to the next step, and you guys think differently?
Or just that you're centered around your career as your purpose, right? Did you have like a bunch of experiences in your teen years, in your 20s, where you were like, what's the meaning of life? Why am I here? What am I supposed to do? I've been given this time. What am I supposed to do with it? Did you feel like bogged down by that, or was that not
that never crossed my mind once?
That's unbelievable to me.
But it's actually a good point, because I have friends who've been wildly successful that are experiencing that now in their late 30s.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And they didn't experience that back then. And there's actually a whole group in Silicon Valley that got really wealthy in their 20s, spent their 30s kind of traveling and figuring out the world, whatever.
Yeah.
And then now, in the last like 3-4 years, they dive into psychedelics. They do ayahuasca. They do shrooms, acid. And the purpose of that is basically to try to figure out what their life journey should be.
Yeah.
So I haven't had that. I mean, I think a lot of the people I'm mentioning, for the most part, don't have kids. And they do it before they have kids.
Yeah.
But post having a kid, it would not even like cross my mind, because I'm like, okay, now this is a whole new, thing I have to focus on. But I have seen that. And it's funny because you mentioned that you and your friends probably thought that in your early part of your life. You're still way younger than, what are we, a 13-year difference?
I'm 23.
Okay, 14-year difference. You're turning 24?
Turning 24 in August.
Yeah, so 14-year. I'm turning 38. And you guys have already done that, and my friends are doing that now, 14 years later.
Yeah, that was, I started having those thoughts when I was probably around like 14 years old. And they completely took over my mind.
So at 14, walk me through that.
Okay. So I've experienced a lot in my short 23 years. I've known a lot of loss.
So what were you doing at 14?
Yeah. Well,
that you, I mean,
yeah, like
I've had conversations with you about your kind of background, and I know little, and I'm going to bring some of them up.
Yeah.
But go for it.
Yeah. I don't mind talking about some of like the traumatic things that I experienced when I was younger, because I've sort of made a music career out of it.
Okay.
But yeah, my mom got cancer and she died when I was 15.
Okay.
And that was a wake-up call.
Yeah.
Because that's one of those things that you hold. And I know that this, hits home for you because you've recently lost a parent. It's such a wake-up call to think that this thing that you're told when you're a kid is always going to be there disappears.
Right. And was it all of a sudden, or was it a long drawn out?
It was 2 years.
Okay, which
and
is
so in
pretty
those,
cool. I mean, between 13 and 15, that's crazy.
When they found it was stage 4 colon cancer, and a couple months before she died, she was declared cancer free.
Okay.
So it was like it was a shock at the moment that it happened, but that was like a wake up call for me, because I thought, wow, this is. She died with so much regret. She wanted to be and to do so much more, because she was only 52. And I saw what real regret looked like at such a young age that I said, I want to make sure that whatever it is that I want to do, I do. Yeah. And I do it now, because there's no promise that I'm here tomorrow.
Right.
And it's like I had a friend of mine who had H1N1 and died.
Right, I remember you telling me that.
These freak things happen, and especially during COVID. You think about this. You think about those small percentages, like 0.001% of people my age actually, would die from COVID. But who is that one person? You know, could that one person be you? So that sort of wake up call makes you go, I could, get hit by a bus. I could, drop off the face of the earth at any moment.
Yeah.
It triggers a lot of existential thoughts. It's part of the reason why I got really into Christianity, and part of the reason why I became so ambitious with my art, and part of the reason why I started touring and made so many albums was because I wanted every year, as I got better as a person, as a storyteller, as someone who can relate to others, I wanted to encapsulate that, and I wanted to share that, and I wanted to, just become successful in my mind at what my goals were at that age. And that mentality carries forward. It's not so much of like, how do I make so much money so that way when I'm 40, I feel comfortable, and those things I look at now, and I'm like, I really wish I had chosen a more lucrative profession. But I have zero regrets about pursuing my passion, and zero regrets about living each day feeling like, if this was my full final day, I've accomplished everything that I've wanted to accomplish up to this point. Obviously there's more that I'd like to do given that time, but given the time I've had, I'm proud of what I've done. And I think that is sort of what I meant at the lunch, by like making sure that I'm prioritizing happiness every day, because you're not promised,
of course,
tomorrow, and I think it's important to make sure that whatever it is that you want to do, you're actively making steps towards that in a way that feels fulfilling, in a way that doesn't feel like, well, I'm not going to be satisfied until, in a way that says, I'm satisfied today.
So I have 2 questions. One, if you didn't experience that trauma at 15 with your mom passing, do you think you would have viewed kind of your trajectory a little differently? And then second, it's already happened that you've changed your trajectory and the way you view the world. Do you think, how do you balance pursuing a career versus pursuing happiness? And how do they coexist? Let's just break it up into 2 different questions. The first question is, if you didn't experience that trauma with your mom passing, do you think you would have viewed the rest of high school and college differently and pursued a different path?
Definitely. Because I looked at the people around me at the time, and I felt like I knew something that none of them did. And I grew up in a very, conservative town.
Yep.
Full of people whose parents were very well off. And I think a lot of those people didn't have that perspective and maybe still don't have that perspective, you know? So it's really hard for me to relate to other people because I just felt like I understood something about life that they just didn't, you know?
Yep.
So while they were saying this is, you know, my SAT scores are the most important thing in the world, you know, and they're stressing out over that, my mind's in other places. I'm saying, no, I'm trying to figure out like what's going to bring me joy instead of happiness. You know, I'm trying to figure out, you know, whether the teachings of Jesus Christ were, you know, it's like these were the things that my mind was occupied with at that age. So it definitely would have affected my trajectory and made me pursue something probably more lucrative or sensible than art. But I'm so happy that I had that perspective because I think it makes me the person I am, and I think it makes me someone who most of my friends, when they go through something, know to turn to me because they know that I understand, you know?
Right.
So I'm so grateful for the opportunity to like relate to others because everyone goes through stuff like that at some point. If it doesn't happen early on, it happens later on.
Sure.
And it's not easy in either stage of life.
Yeah.
You know? So I think that's, you know, it's good to sort of get that out of the way and keep that on the back burner of like, I need to make sure I'm prioritizing mental health. I need to make sure I'm
like been given the tools at an early age, how to deal with things and deal with whatever comes to life.
Yeah, and
which
I think
is like
that's where most of my intelligence is. I don't think I'm academically like a whiz kid. I think I'm emotionally very intelligent, and I think that's very valuable. And it makes me a better storyteller because and a better performer and a better friend. And I think that those things are valued in this society. You know, I think those are really important traits to have and important people to have in society. And
I think also you're kind of underestimating yourself because I think you're extraordinarily smart. And that's the only way I would have really been open to doing this podcast. It's like we can have, I mean, forget being smart. We're 14 years apart.
Yeah.
Like what's the commonality? But you're smart enough to be able to actually resonate with, you know, an old guy like me.
You're not old. You're not old. No.
But I think you touch on a few things that I'm curious about. So you dove into Christianity.
Yeah.
And then I know you've told me you're in a religious cult.
Yeah. So it was right after I'd lost my mom. I was looking for new experiences, new memories. You know, I wanted everything to just push me to my limits because that was the moment at which I wasn't reminiscing on sad, you know, past events. So I had some friends, some family friends who were a part of this kind of a secret group. And they were able to get me into it, but they couldn't tell me much about it. And a few days after I said I was interested, we received a liability waiver.
Yeah.
I was like, this might kill me, you know. But my dad signed off on it. I signed off on it. And away we went. And the first trip was up to upstate Maine. Didn't know that till we got there. And after a day or two of hiking out into the woods on sort of the border with Canada, we came to a clearing and they dropped the first kid off and they gave him a whistle, a Bible, a rope, a knife, and some matches and a tarp. And they didn't say anything else. Mm-hmm. They just left him there and they moved on. We found another clearing a couple miles later, dropped off the next kid, gave him the same things. Found another clearing later. You know, it's like, I had no idea that I would be thrust into survival instincts so quickly.
And how old were you?
I was 15.
Okay.
And it ended up being only like 2 days or something like that. But it's a long time to live on your own in the woods with just the essentials. And nothing brings you to Jesus quite like that. Yeah. You know, up there, it's like the bear the bears aren't that scary. The moose are scary. They're like 9 feet tall, you know? But yeah, that was sort of a shocking thing. And I loved that experience. And we did a number of those. We did, we hiked 2 Colorado Rocky Mountains back to back. And we went to Haiti. You know, we did a lot of crazy things that...
and this is when you're like 15 years old.
Yes, when I was a kid. And I was very impressionable. And we met up every week. We discussed the Bible. And they took the Bible to a whole new level of thinking that if we all put our hands on someone and prayed hard enough, we could cure blindness, you know?
Sure.
And I think that because of where I was at in my life, I really believed them, you know? And I really believed in Christianity. I wanted to think that there was an afterlife. I wanted to think that there was a way for my mom to be watching me, you know, that sort of thing, which I think happens in a lot of these sort of cult-like experiences where they prey on people when they're at their most vulnerable. But yeah, there was a number of things that drove me away from it, including they tried to out me. You know, there was like a sit down lunch with one of the leaders, and he was like, "So we know you're gay," and I was deeply in the closet. I was like, "No."
Yeah, but you're pansexual.
I'm pansexual. Yeah, I came out like 2 years ago to some people. Honestly, the first time I've ever said it publicly was on the podcast.
Wait, but so you were someone asked you if you were gay when you were 15, 16?
Yeah.
And and then you just denied it?
I denied it. I mean, I had a girlfriend at the time. I was like, no, that couldn't be possible, you know.
So I mean, those are really good insights on your background because it helps form how your worldviews are formed.
Yeah.
Because that's where I really want to get to.
Oh, yeah.
Because like how did you get these worldviews? So that's the purpose of like understanding your background. And you transition from now leaving this religious kind of organization, and then what? And then how did you become, the woke Bernie bro? That's really what I want to get to.
Well, I loved Bernie Sanders. I like Bernie before he was cool. I loved Bernie Sanders when I was probably a senior in high school. I was taking AP Gov.
You're 23, so what, 6 years ago? 6 years ago.
Yeah. And
so basically right before the 2016 election, the Hillary Trump.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, Bernie, I remember when Bernie first started running, I remember watching his first campaign to those little beach chairs and stuff like that, and thinking this guy's got no chance. But everything he's saying, I agree with, you know. And I was in AP Gov. I was really thrust into my political beliefs at that age. And then I went to Emerson College, which is probably the most woke institution in the country.
So Emerson College is in Boston?
It's in Boston.
It's a liberal arts school.
Yeah, and it's ranked by USA Today as like one of the queerest schools. Like it's got the most queer identifying student body.
They have a ranking for that?
Yeah, USA Today's got a ranking for everything. They've got a ranking for the most like stoner schools, which Emerson's also high up there on. It's a very liberal environment, and a lot of people who think the same way. And they're all creatives. They're all people who, really value art and creativity. And I think it was easy to become assimilated into that because it was the yin and yang between the conservative cult members. And
so you basically went opposite.
I went a little opposite.
How did you choose that?
I chose that because, part of it was because
you're impressionable.
I believed that.
So you basically went from alt-right to Bernie bro.
Yeah.
In a span of how much time?
I would say a year.
Do you think the trauma had subsided, or you were still dealing with the trauma, and that's why you were so impressionable by two different sides?
I think it opened my mind to new perspectives, whereas I think some people remain closed off and sort of continue down one path of what they believe. It allowed me to see things from various perspectives and believe them wholeheartedly. But I think that's the only way you can give something an honest effort, you know? Like, I am so happy I gave Christianity an honest effort because it's so important in history, you know? It's been a catalyst for every major war. It's been, you know, the importance of Christianity can't be undermined. So if enough people are believing this, I think it's worth giving it that much effort. It's worth reading the Bible. It's worth, you know, analyzing it and discussing it with people. I have no regrets about that. But, you know, the same is to be said with political views. And I think if you really want to understand a side, you need to live it, you know?
So you went to Emerson, and that's when you became a Bernie bro.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I liked Bernie Sanders at that point, but that was definitely my introduction to, you know, LGBTQIA plus people and
had you
being
already,
okay with that.
Had you already like told friends about your sexual preferences or no?
No, I didn't come out until my junior year of college.
Okay, so the third year you came out.
And yeah, that was while I was in a relationship with a girl. And
you're in a relationship with a girl, you came out, it's your junior year.
Mm-hmm.
And how did that affect you kind of obviously personally deeply?
Yeah.
And did it change how you were accepted by friends or what happened?
Well, no, because all my friends were people from Emerson, you know?
Got it. So those
are people who are super accepting, and yeah, I think that's, you know, what sort of set me up for my move to Los Angeles, which was like, I sort of had a clean slate and I was entering into a new life. I was newly single, and I was like, let's see what happens here. You know, I felt like I was impressionable again, and I started working for group chat.
So when did you move here again?
I moved here in September of 2019.
So September 2019. Yep. And when did you start working with us?
October.
So within the first month, you meet us.
Yeah. Yeah.
Were we culture shock?
It was culture shock because I had been around my bubble for so long that this burst it really fast.
So October 2019, I'm trying to think about, it was right before the election? No, 2020, sorry. October 2019, I mean, geez, I don't even know what we were talking about back then. I want to know.
The first episode was Rest in Peace Instagram. I remember that. And for some reason, you had decided Instagram was done because they were taking out the like function. The like you couldn't see the amount of likes anymore.
And they brought it back. So that's why we're live.
Yeah. But that was the first episode.
So you encounter three characters, me, Dee, and Drama.
Mm-hmm. Had no idea who any of you were. No idea who Drama was. No idea. You know.
Yeah, as you should.
I had never heard of any of this world. And I think that was probably a plus for me. I didn't come in here starstruck going like, oh, I loved Fantasy Factory, you know?
So you start listening to us.
Yeah.
How do we fit in this worldview of religious cult, Bernie bro, to group chat?
Well, I remember the first episodes leaving and I was like, kind of angry. I was like, man, I disagreed with just about everything they said. And I realized soon after that all of your fans do too. Every comment is people going like, these guys are idiots. You know, everyone loves to like disagree with you guys, which I think is really funny.
I don't know if that's necessarily true though.
No?
Now. I mean, maybe
that's
back
the DMs
then.
I get.
I think they go to you for
they come to me and they say, oh, these guys don't know what they're talking about. Yeah. But I think there's a lot of people who like to listen to you guys, not because they agree with you, which I think is remarkable because there's so many sects of entertainment that are full of, just echo chambers, full of people who just listen to it because they say, oh yeah, this is full of everything I agree with. Yeah. And that it's good that you've attracted an audience of people who are challenging, what you guys say on there, because I think that's, really important, I
will say we get a lot of people that listen like you said, that necessarily don't agree with a lot of our opinions, but are open to hearing it and telling us why they disagree.
Yeah.
And which we're fine with.
Yeah. No,
and so how do you view us now? So now it's been almost over 2 years, right? Or almost 2 years.
Yeah. And you've definitely shifted me a little bit.
Okay. How so?
I definitely feel like I'm...
Walk me through that arc.
Okay.
So you walk in and you're like, these guys are a bunch of capitalist assholes that don't know how the common man feels.
Just that the things you were discussing sounded so unimportant to me. You know, there were things that I didn't care about, you know, which is probably why I didn't have too much to say. I remember at the beginning, Pete was like, oh, here's a microphone, you know, pull it over and say whatever you want when you've got something to say. I was like, I don't have anything to say. You know, I don't care about Instagram. I don't care about big tech. You know,
you should. It controls all our lives.
Well, that is one of the ways in which it shifted. Is like I started to realize the importance of all of these moving pieces, the importance of entrepreneurship, and the importance of just understanding that perspective in a way that I never had before. I'm constantly learning, but I think I've learned a lot from you guys in terms of just how to understand a different perspective and how to even agree with aspects of a different perspective.
In the current climate where public discourse is so unaccepted.
Yeah.
Right? So, you know, whether it's police reform, whether it's race relations, whether it's how we view immigrants, all of this is so polarizing. What enabled you to be able to come into a group of people that you see probably more than you see most of your friends, me, Dee, Drama, and Pete, that are complete, I won't even say polar opposites because we're kind of all on the same side on most stuff.
Yeah.
And you're okay to have this open conversation.
Yeah.
What is different about you than everyone else that kind of shares similar views? Because I don't believe that even the woke crowd would be willing to hear my perspectives, and I'm a Democrat.
Part of the misunderstanding between the far left and the middle left is that both sides might be willing to have this conversation, but think they aren't because... And
that's a big issue because of two sides of the same side.
Mm-hmm.
So within one side, we have fractured parties that are already completely like don't want to talk.
Yep.
It's a problem. And I think, I mean, I empathize with, you know, a lot of the far left beliefs because I actually truly believe them. Like, as you know, I've been through the ringer in the healthcare system.
Yeah.
And it's an absolute joke. Mm-hmm. It's an absolute
it's a disaster
joke how the healthcare system works. And we are people of means. Amanda and I are people of means that are able to get great healthcare for Maverick.
Yeah.
And even within that, we are fighting uphill battles.
Yeah.
On a daily basis. Why isn't insurance covering this? Why isn't insurance covering that?
Yeah.
Oh, how is this speech therapy getting covered?
Yeah.
How do we get this covered? And it's practically a full-time job to not get duped by insurance companies.
Yeah.
And that's people that actually I mean, I don't want to sound like obnoxious, but like I can afford to get duped and I'm still like fighting to not get duped.
Yeah. My dad works in healthcare. That's what he does. And still, cancer treatments. And he lost so much of what he had worked his entire life to like create through the expense of our healthcare system, through the expenses of chemo, through the expense, like these things just wreak havoc. I mean,
no, it's like a common conversation that I have with, you know, all my friends and family. If Amanda and I weren't able to have a flexible work schedule, given that we work for D, be financially comfortable enough to like afford a lot of these services, like we'd be bankrupt, or B, Maverick would have no shot.
Yeah. Well,
which is an insane concept.
Yeah. That's why the number one cause of bankruptcy in the United States.
Yes.
Healthcare.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it's insane.
It's insane. And since this is the part of the podcast where you get political, and that's because it's privatized, right?
What do you mean by that?
Well, the reason why we live in a country where like 30 million Americans don't have health insurance is because we've got privatized health insurance, right?
So I believe that there should be privatized health insurance because it spurs innovation. The only reason we got a vaccine within 12 months is because private companies were incentivized to make billions of dollars, and as they should. Like what they did with the COVID vaccine is a medical breakthrough. And Moderna in January 13th of 2020. So the virus hadn't even hit the United States in a big way. It was 60 days before we even thought about coronavirus, other than group chat, me talking about it. I was the only one talking about it.
I looked like the Oracle because of you.
Yeah.
I was telling people like, oh, there's this thing coming.
And they, so the counter to your point is basically like Moderna came in and was like, within 2 days, they actually had the vaccine, the same vaccine that I took, the Moderna vaccine. They had it in January 15, 2020, a year before I even had the opportunity to take the vaccine, before COVID even hit the US in a meaningful way.
Wow, yeah.
And that is like the problem with,
you think that wouldn't have happened if we didn't have any privatization?
No chance. Privatization of medicine, or because you need to incentivize people to make money. So what incentivizes people to make money? Innovation. And Moderna, which was a biotech startup that started in 2011, was incentivized by like, okay, we have all this venture capital money that backed them. They went public and they were working on all these different things. And now they figured out COVID. I know you do modern prescription.
Oh, yeah.
They talked about it on the last episode.
Yeah.
That they might have a vaccine for HIV, and they're actually talking about like various cancers.
Yeah.
So if you nationalize that, they aren't going to be motivated the way a Moderna is to solve these problems.
I think it's important for doctors to be paid what they deserve, for scientists to be paid what they deserve, and to be incentivized. But I think it's also important to acknowledge that, like, in a system like that, people get left behind, right?
So, my true belief is that the 30 million people that don't have health insurance need to be backstopped. And the other people that get paid by corporations that these insurance companies get to make money on, great.
Which is sort of what the Affordable Care Act was supposed to do.
Yeah, that was the whole point of it.
Yeah. So that's sort of where you lie. You're more of like the Obama administration form of let's give universal health care to the people who can't afford it.
Yep.
And allow some elite health care for the people who have greater means.
I mean, that's also something that I don't agree with either.
I didn't mean for that to be a pointed question, by the way.
No, but like, I think the healthcare system's so broken, similar to like police institutions. I mean, I just don't, I know theoretically what I want. I want someone that, whether they're worth $100 or worth $100 million, to get the same care.
Okay.
That's what I want.
Yeah. But that only happens through, making healthcare public, right? That only happens through.
But you need to incentivize someone, in order for the same person that's worth $100 million and worth $100 to get the same healthcare, someone needs to be incentivized to make sure that happens. So whether
like incentivizing a politician?
No, incentivizing doctors or hospitals. Someone needs to be making money for them to care as much about the $100 person as the $100 million person. And I know that's a fucked up thing to say, but that's the world we live in. That a doctor will prefer to take on a patient that has very good insurance, that they know that bills are going to get paid, versus a person without insurance where they don't think bills are going to get paid. And then they're like, we're not going to take him on, or him or her, kid, boy, girl, whatever. Like, that's the world. So how do you balance that dynamic?
Yeah.
Because the incentive of the actual practitioner is going to be different than, whether it's national or privatized healthcare, because they want to get paid.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think obviously the government needs to compensate them fairly. We've got countless examples throughout the world of universal healthcare systems. For example, Canada, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's not like there was some weird rumor that people were coming from Canada to the US to get cancer treatments because we have better doctors, because they make more money. That's not true, right?
So I think where I disagree is that the majority of people are healthy. The vast majority of people can deal with nationalized healthcare because they go for their checkups, whatever, and they don't have any problems. But then you get into these niche conditions, and similar to your mom, similar to Maverick, the best doctors are in the US. It's undeniable the best doctors are in the United States when it comes to specialized healthcare. And that is kind of I don't know how we can't underestimate what that is. People fly in all over the world to come to the US to see specialists. And I think the nationalized healthcare solution works for the majority of the people, and I think that should be it. But if we don't incentivize the specialized doctors, then you just have another group that's left behind that needs special care.
Right. So those specialized doctors would cost more money?
I mean, yeah, because the wait lists for these doctors are insane.
So if you're poor and you have cancer, you can't see the best cancer doctor.
So I've actually been encouraged by this, just given our own journey through dealing with specialty care. We've talked to families that have gotten to our doctor who typically has a year wait because the case is something that he thinks he can solve. And we've talked to families that don't come from means, that are just bolting down from outskirts of Seattle to get a visit with our doctor. And he's actually acknowledged okay, this is a case I want to take on. So I don't know. I mean,
I think that probably brings us back to Jeff Bezos a little bit, which is your faith in people of means, your faith in people of intelligence, and your faith of people, great doctors and great inventors, and your faith that they will have generosity.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have that faith. I don't share that faith. I don't think that we can trust that people who are the best doctors in the world will always say, well, I want to care for them just because I'm a good person. I don't think that's true. I don't think it may be true for some people.
No, but I don't
think that's true across the board.
I think with private healthcare is so when you get to the real specialized conditions, the incentives are different. So at UCLA, your UCLA research doctor, effectively, you publish papers and you're getting credited for solving cases, and you have numerous cases that you get solved, then you elevate in the field that you're the specialized doctor that, crushed it. So it's actually in the best interest of the specialized doctor to find the hardest to solve cases and solve them, because it actually lends more research to the whole community that hey, you actually made this blueprint.
Right.
So I think the incentives in the university research hospitals are very different than what you're talking about.
But if you have a run-of-the-mill example of breast cancer, too bad. Those are the people who get left behind, right? I think there's so many holes in that system, and we're discovering those holes, but we're acknowledging them. We're not addressing them because we have a system that's run by capitalism, right?
nationalizing healthcare, and if you had limits on what both insurance companies and what doctors can make, we'll just cease innovation. And then we'll just end up with a population that like, hey, people are just going to die of cases that could have been solved. So
is it your belief that more socialist countries throughout COVID weren't trying to find a vaccine because there was no incentive?
They didn't have the money.
Because they didn't have the funding.
Mm-hmm.
So
we did Operation Warp Speed. We threw billions of dollars and found a fucking vaccine.
Yeah.
And did all the trials.
Yeah.
And other countries don't have that.
Well, I think having a government that does that, having a government that says this is a health crisis, we need to put money towards it and incentivizes it from the government. There is incentive. There is money. It does exist, right? Like I think sure, you can, look at the excess of capital that these researchers had access to at Moderna and at Pfizer and at Johnson & Johnson. I think at the end of the day, that is possible through the government. That is possible through a universal healthcare system. That is possible through...
I think it needs to be a hybrid. There needs to be private and public. And I think the public needs to be backstopped by the government to provide health insurance. I wholeheartedly believe every single person in this country, if you live here, you should be able to go to a doctor, you should be able to go to a hospital, and you should not ever have to worry about finances when it's your health.
Yeah.
I truly believe that.
I agree with you that no one should have to worry about that. Yeah. It's a human right.
I agree. It is
in 2021, the fact that we're even having this discussion that it hasn't been figured out by now, pretty sad.
No, I agree. I think the healthcare stuff really, hits home for me because I see it. Yeah. It's like, dude, I'll share a quick story because we're kind of laboring on this. Before one of Maverick's procedures, we had to either waive insurance because insurance hadn't provided their approval yet, and just say, hey, if insurance doesn't approve it, we're on the hook for it. Mm-hmm. And Maverick was already in the OR, pre-op. So he's basically already done all his vitals, whatever. And he's sitting up there with Amanda, and I'm downstairs with admin at UCLA. It's 5 a.m. And they're like, okay, yeah, I think everything's okay. And then Amanda's calling me from the pre-op, like, hey, they're not willing to take Maverick in yet until we sign off on some docs or pay. And this is at UCLA Hospital.
Wow. Yeah.
And it's 5 a.m, and this is a pre-surgery MRI and PET scan that needs to be done. And I went to the admin and was like, what do you need me to sign?
Yeah.
Just get him in there.
Yeah.
I was like,
there's no health. There's no care.
Yeah. And I was like, he's not allowed to eat before anesthesia, no milk, no water, all that for 12 hours. So you have a baby that's literally losing his shit.
Yeah.
And I'm like, the doctors are like, hey, they need to sign off and buzz up so we could take him in.
Right.
And they're waiting to do the pre-anesthesia drug. And I was just like...
And I would say that's because that's incentivized. They're incentivized by money. But I know that you disagree with me. But, that's sort of...
No, but the point I was making was I was willing to sign anything. Mm-hmm. I was like, just get him to where he needs to be. And that's because I'm not fearful, A, when it comes down to insurance, I'm competent enough to go fight the insurance company.
Yeah.
And make sure, fuck you. I know how to deal with this.
Yeah.
Like, you're not going to take advantage of me. But I was thinking about, other families, they would have been so scared.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Because that amount of money, if they were on the hook for, could, they wouldn't make rent, they wouldn't buy food, they wouldn't do this. And I was like, fuck this health insurance company. I'm going to come after you. Because I've, been equipped with that, just ability to think like that. And at that moment, I felt so bad for any family that's of a lower income background that had to be put through that, because I actually didn't give a fuck, because I was like, I'm going to crush whatever health insurance call operator is going to try to argue with me. I'm literally going to crush you. And I'm going to have all the doctors get the support and write letters to make sure we're not on the hook for this.
Mm-hmm.
And I had that confidence, but how many people would have that?
It shouldn't be necessary. You shouldn't need to have that confidence in order to not be taken advantage of by an insurance company.
Yeah.
But that's awful, and something needs to change. You know, I think we definitely meet in the middle there.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah. I did actually get around to reading a letter. I found it in my mailbox yesterday.
Physical mail or email?
It was physical mail.
Yeah.
Physical mail from old Jeff Bezos.
Okay.
And got around to reading it. I know Drama wanted us to talk about that on the PanCapitalist pod. I didn't have as big of a reaction as maybe he was hoping. I kind of read that and I thought, good, you should be doing that. When you have that much money, you should be creating that amount of jobs. When you have a corporation that large, you should be, it's like...
So you're Team Bezos.
It seemed like common sense to be like, that's the bare minimum that you needed to do. Good. I'm glad you have a strategy for becoming carbon neutral. Like, what do you want, a cookie?
I don't think he wants a cookie. I think he just wants people to stop hating on him. Because he's like, all the things you think I'm supposed to be doing, I've already been doing.
It's not enough. It's like, we can't set our expectations that low for like, as long as you set some standard to become carbon neutral by 2040, we're going to be happy. No. I mean, you're a company that because of your packaging and because of your delivery service, you emit a lot of carbon, You're destroying the planet through the company you've created.
So what's the balance between what consumers want versus what it should be for the environment? And what's the trade-off?
What's the trade-off between...
Because consumers are now conditioned to, you want Advil by the morning, it's coming by the morning. You want diapers, it's coming.
Yeah.
You want a fucking drill for you're building something, it's coming by the morning.
I think it's just priorities. Like for me, I'll give that up.
Yeah, but you're 23 and you don't have a family. You don't have like people
I have family. They're just not my kids.
No, not your kids. But,
yeah.
No, you don't have a family you live with where they depend on you.
Yeah, my roommates are pretty dependent.
I thought you said they're not taking advantage of you anymore.
Oh man. Yeah, I'm still working on it.
But my point is, if you're too young to understand how important and how convenient these services are.
Well,
it doesn't matter if you're poor, rich, middle class.
I think there is importance to some of it. I think if I order a patio set on Amazon, it doesn't need to get there tomorrow. It's really like me sitting in a lawn chair tomorrow versus a week later. Not life or death.
That's like
whereas
a very small percentage of their business. The majority of their business is just essentials.
Really?
Yeah.
Like Advil?
No, just commodities, diapers, soaps, laundry detergent, groceries,
right?
Basic ass shit. That's all these marketplaces. It's all essentials.
Yeah,
and then the patio set is like a fraction of what they do.
I hear that. I think for a company that is as large as Amazon, right? For somebody that had a net income of $21.3 billion, as he wrote in his letter in the year of 2020, I think we're valuing that over other things. I think that through our consumption and through marketing manipulation, we're actively saying we value that over changing our prison system. We value that over changing our healthcare system.
So I would see the argument if you were to talk about Facebook, because they actually have societal harm versus Amazon has zero societal harm. And
I think it's just a matter of resource allocation, right? It's sort of like the question of world hunger, right? It's not a question of if we have enough resources to feed everyone on the planet. It's a question of the distribution of those resources, right? The amount of food that gets thrown out every day, that sort of thing. It's the same equation where we have resources, we're spending money on things. And we can allow a company to make $23 billion in a year and say, yeah, it's super valuable. It's great. Are we not also prioritizing, any of these other public works projects, any of these other things that are going to serve us as a
purposes of the government.
Well, that's the point. It's like a capitalist system undermines that, right? A capitalist system allows Amazon to not pay anything in income tax, right? And
but they reinvest their capital. That's what people don't understand. They reinvest the capital. You read the letter. How many jobs has he created?
Yeah, he's created jobs. That's good. It's a big company. It should have created jobs. Like, I think those are important things, and I think those should create jobs. I also think that there's an excess of money coming through the system, and I think a perfect example of that is the fact that Jeff Bezos himself makes $321 million per day. $321 million
on the stock price
per day.
Right? No, that's dependent on the stock price, Tim.
All right, let's say it fluctuates down to 200 million, right? We're going way down.
But it's only if the stock price goes up does he make more money. He's no longer the CEO.
It's all dependent on the stock price. Regardless, if he made $1 million per day, I'd say that's overvalued, right?
Why?
I'd say that's too much money for a company.
Don't get why.
Because I think there's other things that serve people's needs that are more important.
So you're telling me every corporate CEO needs to have a cap on what they earn?
No, I'm just saying that the money should be distributed between the things that are important to help a society function. Because otherwise, we have some who have a lot and others who have nothing, which is what we see, right? That's the world around us. When you poke your head out the window, you see a world in which some people have too much and most people have nothing, right? I mean, that's unbelievable for a country as innovative as ours, for a country that should be as forward-thinking as ours, to allow people to go bankrupt because of health insurance. That alone should tell you that we have a broken system, right? Maybe I'm sounding like a broken record.
No, you've made the point pretty clearly in this podcast and group chat, everything.
Yeah.
I think the issue is you either have to burn it down or you have to work within the system. And let's just revisit what happened with Trump. The Trump supporters in 2016 were like, burn it down, the government's broken, let's just burn it down. And what did we get? We got the Capitol storming as the culmination. We had a group of people that thought it was their right to storm the Capitol building because Donald Trump was no longer president. So that was the burn it down of the right.
Yeah, people who were manipulated.
Yes.
And it's so sad, you know?
No, but in their opinion, they weren't even manipulated. They were just like, we're doing the right thing. Yeah. Donald Trump's the president. He needs to be president. But if you look at it on the left side and you burn it down, if you burn down all these institutions, no one's going to have healthcare. No one's going to have, thriving corporations. Stock market's going to get crushed. There's fewer jobs. And then you're going to have like a dystopia society.
I think there are people.
Are you okay with the dystopia society to solve everything?
No, I'm not an anarchist. I'm a socialist. I believe in working through the system.
I think,
and that's exactly what Bernie wanted to do. And I think that's why a lot of my friends have become more anarchist. You're right. I think there's definitely a motion for a lot of the far left that is anarchist. There's a motion that is like, we need to tear the system apart. I think we should work through it. And I think Bernie has laid out perfect steps as to how to do that. I think there's a lot of far left politicians.
The fact that he thinks no one should be worth as much as Jeff Bezos is a very flawed argument.
I just think if somebody's making that amount of money and we still have so many people going bankrupt because they can't pay their health insurance, then we need to address the fact that the government should have intervened.
Okay, so we passed 1.9 trillion, we passed 3 trillion, and we're worried about Jeff Bezos' 150 billion, or about to pass 3 trillion, sorry.
So who's we? Because I'm not seeing that money.
That's my point. The U.S. government. Bernie is voting for this. Bernie voted for the 1.9 trillion. He's going to vote for the $3 trillion infrastructure bill. Your boy is going to vote for $4.9 trillion of injected into the U.S. economy. And we're worried about Jeff Bezos worth $150 billion that he created value for American consumers?
I think there is incentive to keep the American economy afloat, especially after COVID, right? I think there's also incentive to look out for individuals that are struggling, look out for individuals who are of, lower income, and make sure that we're acknowledging that these people are buying on Amazon, right?
Right.
We can't just rob them and let them, maintain the system of, well, you should have thought of Amazon. If you thought of Amazon, you'd be making $321 million a year. Since you didn't think of Amazon, guess you're going to make $10 an hour, Like that mindset, that American dream mindset, I don't buy it. I don't subscribe to it, because I know so many people, and I've met so many people in my short 23 years who have so many underlying factors that are why they have to work at McDonald's. So, why
but
they
Jeff
have to.
Bezos didn't come from money. Have you read his background?
That's fine. That's fine that some
He
people
came from
can
like a
make
pretty
something of
troubled
themselves.
background.
You can't expect that of everybody.
No,
you can't
but we're not
every
expecting
person.
everyone to be Jeff Bezos.
Aren't you? Because you're neglecting people, right? You're neglecting aspects of like so many people in society.
So you have to make the trade-off whether if you eliminate entrepreneurship, that people can make money.
I think people should be able to make money within reason. I don't think there should be a cap, but I think there should be some. I think that's why they invented taxes, right? That's why people who are who make $20,000 a year don't get taxed as much as people who make $1 million a year, right? We have to tax people fairly, because this is how we keep the system working, right? As soon as we allow people to just say, well, once you get over $1 million, then the government's not too worried about you.
No, but they reinvest the capital to create more jobs. That's the thing that the woke doesn't understand.
I think that's trickle-down economics.
They look at like the 20 companies, Nike, Amazon, whatever, didn't pay taxes. And they don't just understand business. So what they've done is they've taken free cash flow and they've reinvested in CapEx, building out digital, building out factories, building out all these things that actually create jobs. And it creates jobs for the people you're talking about that are typically left behind. So you can...
So they can make minimum wage at Amazon.
But what else are they... I mean, what other jobs are available?
Well, it's
so
like, sure, you can make enough money, and your healthcare can be adequate compared to McDonald's.
It's $15 an hour. Your boy's at 11.
Cool. $15 an hour.
Vermont's $11 an hour.
All right, so let's say
Bernie
making
is
$15
$11 an hour. Bezos is 15, and 15 is nationally.
Okay. I would say that there's a voting base that's involved in politicians' life versus the CEOs.
So if he was good enough to be president, why can't he figure it out in his own state? So he shouldn't have been qualified to be president. If he can't figure out his own legislation in his own state, how's he going to figure out legislation as the president of the United States with 2 houses of Congress?
The entire political system is broken. I think putting someone in a position of power who's not accepting super PACs is smarter than continuing to acknowledge, like, well, let's just keep electing people who accept super PACs, and let's keep making sure that Exxon gets, some control of what happens politically in this country. Let's make sure that BP and GM, let's make sure that all these companies have a say over what kind of policies are passed through government, right?
This is good.
My point before.
This is good.
My point before is that I think if you're going to, I can't even remember my point. Never mind. This is 8.6%.
Yeah, mama mentality. Maybe the mama mentality got kind of
got the mama mentality.
But this is good. We've gone a little over an hour. But yeah, PanCapitalist episode 2.
Episode 2.
A lot more fiery stuff to come.
That being said, I'm so grateful for your perspective. I'm so grateful for the opportunity for you to express your background and your resultant beliefs with me. And it's really refreshing to hear the other side, because I don't hear it enough, I think.
And what we're going to prove through this series of podcasts is we're not the other side. We're the same side.
We're the same side. I'm
going to prove it to you.
Okay.
PanCapitalist episode 2.
That was good.
That was good.
That was better than the first one. That's all we need to do.